Here is a video right here on Ice Prince giving his own take when asked by Teddy A, the host, on what he has to say about the so-called Christian genocide that we have been hearing for days now, or for months, since Donald Trump made that tweet that had everywhere shaking. So yeah, what it is he has to say.
No, it doesn't exist. It's not happening. But the North is dare to you.
Very, very.
Can you say something about what's happening to the Christians in the North?
What's happening to the Christians in the North, or the Muslims in the North, or the traditionalists in the North is quite unfortunate. It's quite sad. It's I can't believe that. I would say, for example, I can't believe that 25 years later we're still talking about this.
In our lifetime.
And I'm talking about 25 years because in 2001 was when the first crisis broke out in Jos. I was a kid then. I was literally an adolescent that year. And I remember when the first crisis broke out, I remember how, a lot of churches got burnt down, mosque got burnt down. I remember as a kid, walking through neighborhoods or the streets and seeing like somebody's head on that side, somebody's leg on that side. I grew up in that, and anybody who's from Jos or from Plateau State knows exactly what I'm talking about. It is called the Jos crisis. It's one of the most unreported situations probably in our history, because at the time there was only NTA reporting this, and that time NTA opened at I think 4 p.m. and closed at 12 midnight. So there's only how much news they can feed to the rest of the country.
Right.
So we knew that the story was very, very underreported, but it's something that was real. But Jos crisis is something that was a Muslim Christian fight. It wasn't like one group was killing another. It was both groups fighting for some sort of dominance or relevance or whatever the case was back then. But to see that grow into around 2009, starting to hear about Boko Haram, to like 2025, and they're trying to coin it into a narrative where it's called, they're calling it a Christian genocide. To me, it's mind-boggling. It's the most embarrassing thing that I've had to deal with as a Nigerian. Okay, are people dying? Is insecurity real? Yes, it is. Like, we hear about the kidnappings, we hear about, people getting murdered and armed robbery and stuff like that. But to call it a deliberate attempt by people in power might be overstretching it. And I'm speaking as a Christian who is from the epicenter, which is Plateau State, which is Jos.
Right.
All right. And I'm not speaking for everybody from Plateau State, but I would say I'm speaking for a good amount of people. I grew up there. I wasn't born outside. And for example, I'll tell you this. What's calling it a Christian genocide, like we're trying to make it look like the government is having this attack on Christians and stuff like that. Bro, I've never lost a relative to this. I've lost so many people in my life, but none of them was to this narrative that is being portrayed right now.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any friend. I can call any of my friends from Jos right now. I've never heard anybody that told me, oh, his uncle got kidnapped or his auntie or his... So some of these narratives, it hurts my people so much, because guess what? It's killing our tourism. Jos is the most beautiful place in Nigeria, the coldest... The best place you could be in this country, I promise you on God. I've been around this country so much. I don't think I see anywhere else better than Jos. But the narrative that they portray makes people scared to visit the place.
Right.
It makes people not want to go there.
Fear-mongering.
You know what I mean? Whereas people actually need to go there. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Like, a lot of times when I'm inviting my friends or my colleagues to go to my city, maybe I want to take them there for a show, people are always scared. Kidnapping. Maybe they'll go kill me. Bomb blast. It makes me feel some type of way, because I want to take people to my city. I want to take people to Jos. So I'm not happy with the narrative, because it's making my people look it's even isolating my people more. I'm not happy with the narrative, but at the same time, I can't deny the fact that the insecurity is real because I lived through it from, like I said, 2001 till now. It's been going on, but again, I don't think the narrative is not being portrayed correctly, and we need to know exactly what we're fighting to fight it. We can't just say there's a Christian genocide and ignore the Muslims that are dying, and we can't just say, you know, Christians in the East are killing other Christians and ignore, you know, there's so many layers to this thing. And I'm not a politician. I don't intend to ever be in my life. You know, I'm not a public speaker like that, but I'm just going to tell the truth because it's embarrassing. Are we going to, for 25 years, my city has been painted to be this place. How long is it going to continue like that? Yo, we grow you know, say if you call person tomato juice, now the best compliment if you give the person here. Why do you think that is? We produce the best tomatoes everybody eats in this country and around. Potatoes, onions, pepper. The best fruits come from Jos.
Right.
We have the coldest weather in the country. We grow strawberries, my brother. We grow apples and stuff like that. Like, Jos is literally the best place. But the narrative that they keep painting around it, and Benue State, I can't forget Benue State, and of course Taraba. You know, these states are like kind of like close together, and we're literally like the same people. But the narrative about us is quite unfair, and our reality as well is actually not fair. So I'm calling on the government to pay more attention to those cities. Those cities can turn Nigeria to the Dubai that we're talking about. Right. You know what I mean? The America that we're talking about, the UK that we're talking about. I believe from Plateau, Benue, Taraba alone, Nigeria can be the best place on earth. So we need to protect those places and, you know, pay more attention to it. We are minority. You know me say we know day. We day gone. You guys are always talking about Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, forgetting us. We said we do. My tribe is called Angas. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So you guys think I don't exist? So what if we start talking about marginalization on our own path? We get slept on a lot. We get ignored a lot. But, you know, we've produced Ice Prince.
Right. And many more.
Many more. I mean, like, Probably you guys know Yakubu Gowon, of course. That's probably the only Angas man who's from my tribe as well that you guys know. You know, maybe Nentawe, who's the current APC chairman. That's, you know, Kefiano Motos. These are the kind of Angas people, you know. But
shout out to Kefiano. Yeah,
but our people get ignored a lot. You know, the same way the Igbo people are crying marginalization, we can start crying too. The same way the Yoruba people want their nation, we can start talking our own talk too, because we are also a people that shouldn't be ignored. Every day in this country, I know I've spoken a lot, but I'm going to let you ask your questions. But every day in this country, we're talking about Igbo president or Hausa president or Yoruba president. When is it ever going to be an Angas president? Or I shouldn't aspire. No, don't just say Benue. Because that's even more, that's disrespectful. Say Idoma. Say Tiv. There's so many tribes there. It's not just one place. When is a Kanuri man? Oh, let me not even go there. When is let's say like maybe a Shekiri man or Efik man? The minorities, Birom, Jarawa. When are we gonna get the chance? Will we can aspire? You know, so please, like, let's look at this country holistically and understand the power that we have in our diversity, and not just think about ourselves. I feel like some of the major tribes that we keep talking about, they keep thinking about themselves, forgetting the fact that there's so many of us
that exist.
Half of this room does not even know what Angas is. How am I supposed to feel about that?
Crazy.
My tribe is called Angas, and we exist, and we've produced some of the best things that have come out of this country, but we get ignored, and that's not fair.
Yeah, if you notice the way Ice Prince was answering these questions, you tell that he was being very careful, as this is a very sensitive topic. And so he said quite a lot. He said quite a lot, even though, you know, he kind of focused more on the area where he grew, you know, like Jos, Taraba, the neighboring areas, you know. But then it's still the point, you know, that he made. You can't just call it a Christian genocide, because I stay here in Kaduna State. I've been to Abuja, I've been to Jos, been to Bauchi, you know, like this. I've stayed in the north literally a whole lot of times. I've lived in all of these places, and because I've been to these places, of course I can tell you a lot of things have happened here, and it's not just something that happens to Christians alone. Although the argument has always been that it may not be that it happens to Christians alone, but Christians have been larger victims. That one I cannot tell because I do not have the statistical record. But then why I still would not say a yes and a no is because when you still look very well, we hear certain news that don't, we hear about certain events and dark incidents that happen that don't make the news. I mean, at one period, a town called Birnin Gwari at Kaduna State, there on your way to Zaria, about 100 people were killed in one night, and it didn't make the news. It didn't make the news. A lot of people were killed. It didn't make the news, and no one had. And that place is Muslim dominated. Yes, Muslim dominated. And a lot of people were killed. When you go to Borno, a lot of people get killed there, both Christians, both Muslims. But right there, you have lots of Muslims too over there. Right here in Kaduna, we have a lot of people that die. Like in southern Kaduna, it's Christian populated. A lot of people die from certain incidences. So it happens a lot, and so it is just difficult to term it a Christian genocide. Although I get why it is being termed like that. When you look at, first of all, the elections, I think did not sit well with the Christians, owing to the fact that it ended up to being, for the first time, I think, maybe for the first time, being a Muslim ticket. And that was quite unfortunate because the Christians themselves felt as though they were being shunned and ignored. Like, it has not happened before, so why did it happen? But though when you look very well, you see that the president himself, that was more like a political move because he was extremely selfish to find a way to seek, that winning by all means. And he realized that the best way was to have a Muslim ticket so he can get more votes from the Muslims and the North. But then I think that this has been one of the most unbiased governments, if we want to be honest, in terms of representations and appointments. Yes, not unlike the previous governance by President Buhari, and Tinubu has been at least unbiased, and it has shown that he has not made it plain like Buhari showed us that it was more about the Muslim thing, it was more about the northerners. But Tinubu has been fair enough, when you even look at different appointments, you can tell. And so it is still going to continue to be that point of discussion. My point, or sometimes when I hear remarks from the foreigners, sometimes I like to ask why they don't come here themselves to check out these things by themselves. And another thing is that everyone is afraid of the Americans and the foreigners intruding, because we've seen what has happened in Syria and in Libya. At least Libya is like the closest example for us. Gaddafi was doing well for his country. No country is perfect, but then somehow he was labeled a bad person, and then a whole lot of narratives were pushed, and before we knew it, look at what Libya has become today. And till date, it has not recovered since 2011. And so even if even if they claim as though they really care about us, if they really do, maybe we would have expected them to say, all right, the insecurity crisis, fine, it is by terrorist attacks, and so we would come in now and find a way to solve it. But then using the Christian genocide, it sounds to everybody as though, one, they have an ulterior motive, which is first of all to set the country in discord by finding a way to make the Christians and to cause chaos between the Christians and the Muslim. And so where there is chaos now, they can now come in and exploit it to their advantages. And so a lot of people have interpreted that event in different ways, and we cannot blame them. I myself too, honestly, I am very suspicious about any help that the foreigners seek to offer, because they have shown us time over time again that they cannot be trusted. And so, like he said, the politicians may have a hand in it and may not have in it. I noticed that he was being too careful not to involve politicians or say anything, because the internet will always amplify it. But the fact is that, of course, the politicians are there also to be suspicious. We have to suspect them, because if you can remember when we had ex-President Sani Abacha, the late president, he said if any crisis, any incidents that happens in Nigeria that exceeds 24 hours, then be sure to know that the government has a hand in it. And so it is now, like he said, for about 25 years, and it's still the same thing we've been crying. Year 2000, we had the Sharia crisis in Kaduna State. 2001, we had in Jos, a whole lot of different major crises in different areas in Nigeria. It has not ceased. As of 2015, also, it was said that if Jonathan did not step down, it was going to be a whole lot of crisis, and Jonathan, for the sake of peace, stepped down, peacefully. Somebody else wouldn't have. Till date, we still have the crisis. We moved from the religious crisis, like the Sharia crisis, and then we continued again. We began to see different crises, from the rise of Boko Haram, and then different, extremist groups popping up here and there. Now banditry came into it, and kidnapping. All these things have silently become the order of the day, and it's very unfortunate because it doesn't seem as though it's going to end anytime soon. As these days I have noticed that it has even been politicized, and in some cases I noticed certain things that most of this news or most of these things even happen timely, such that they are even used these days as distraction from some things politically. And if you notice these things very well, you'll see, you'd be able to read and see through, the nuance of it, and hack right into it. But I must commend him for the way he tackled that question, because it's a sensitive topic. If he gives some kind of narrative or try to confirm it in a little way, any little way, it could escalate. And yes, they are celebrities. All they care about more is doing their music, facing their music, all about their fans. They get the money, they go back to make more music, all about their fans, and then the cycle continues. A big shout out to Ice Prince. And one person I must commend is Teddy A, and I think he's one of those hosts that I can tell you, he gives his audience room to speak. He never intrudes. He listens to you. There's something about listening. When someone listens to you, they pay that attention. They're like, okay, yeah. It kind of spurs you to keep talking, and it helps you reveal more and more. He's a very smart host, and yes, a big shout out to you, Teddy A. And right here is Great Dave Entertainment Vlog. I give my take like I see it originally, like I see it, my own personal perspective. And yours, like I always say, is very, very welcome. And that's it from me to you on this one. Sorry for taking your time too long. And I'm out.